What is up, everyone, and welcome back to the Fast Life Podcast. We have a great show today with my good friend Bryan Simpson. I've known him for years. He started out working at Arlen Ness. That's how we kind of got to know each other. And then, he started this brand that you're going to hear about in this podcast. So before we get into this awesome talk, let's talk about these sponsors. Simpson motorcycle helmets. They've been my helmet of choice for quite a few years now. I ride them every day. Love them to death. You'll love them too. SimpsonMotorcycleHelmets.com. Check them out, as well as Simpson Motorcycle Helmets on Instagram. Not only does S&S have everything you need to crank out power from your motorcycle's engine, from exhaust systems to air cleaners and everything in between, they also built the Indian Challenger that has been coming in first in pretty much every race it gets in, wouldn't you say? Their focus is optimal power and reliability. Check out their website, sscycle.com, where you can find out more of what they have to offer for your V-Twin. Also, they have a podcast you guys should check out, Performance Times Podcast. And lastly, give these guys a follow on the gram at SS Cycle. Lexan Moto has an intercom system for you. It's the all-new G16. It's a group rider's long-awaited answer to an affordable intercom system. It has a 16-rider comm system, Bluetooth 5.0, music sharing. It'll keep your group connected while traveling together. This is another great product from the team at Lexan, geared at making motorcycle rides and travel more enjoyable. Check it out at lexan-moto.com, where you can apply the Fast Life offer code, which will save you 15%. And as always, you can rest assured that Lexan backs up all their products with the best customer service in the industry. Thundermax has your EFI-equipped Harley-Davidson covered with their high-quality auto-tuning ECMs. I've been running their products on my fuel-injected bike since 2015, and I've laid down thousands of miles with their ECMs, keeping me running smooth. I also run their oil cooler fan, which is available for the M8 touring models. It took my 131 motor from operating temperatures in the high 300s to the low 300s. You can check out these products at shoptmax.com and use offer code FASTLIFE to save 10% off, and follow Thundermax EFI on Instagram. 3 great companies under one roof. Number 1, Electric Lighting Co. has your bike covered from headlight to tail light with a ton of LED lighting options for many different Harley-Davidson models. All lighting is backed by great warranties and plug-and-play options, so you can't go wrong with making the switch or stepping up to Electric Lighting Co. 2, NAM's Custom Cycle Products has everything you need in the wiring department, from full harnesses to connectors. 3, Badlands, for over 30 years, has been offering the most reliable and dependable lighting modules in the USA, backed by lifetime warranties. Find out more about these great companies at namscustomcycleproducts.com, and you can drop the FL 2021 offer code, which gives you free shipping on orders over $100. Yeah, we're ready. Brian's a good friend of mine. We talk quite a bit here and there. Every time I'm in NorCal, I try to see him, and it was a good time hanging out with him and seeing his bikes, his sweet-ass lowrider, and, meeting his family. So thank you, Bryan, again. Love the sunglasses, and if you guys want to check them out, it's Modifeye Vision. I think is Modifeye Vision. Yeah. Great shit. I love it. I got a handful of them and wear them every day. So let's get into it. Bryan Simpson, Modifeye Vision.
Hey, guys. You ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
It's better than doing it on camera.
Yeah, well, when we have the studio, we're going.
Oh.
We do the studio, it's a lot easier because I have someone else doing all that shit, so we just act natural and shit.
Right.
And, the cameras are going, and so it's like easy that way because you don't have to look at the camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's where it gets weird when you start looking at, which
definitely
all about.
Oh man, yeah, it was crazy having to do that shit for so long.
So man, how did you end up getting started at Ness in the first place?
Honestly, man, it was on a whim. I had taken a break from the Harley industry. I was working at a Harley dealership for 6-7 years in Oakland, and my uncle has a scaffolding company, right?
Yeah.
Framing shit on the side of houses, and he wanted to break into a new side of the industry where he was doing all the swing stages on high rises, where he was so basically the stuff that the window washers are on would when guys are putting glass in new buildings and shit, installing those stages and temporary stuff. And so he needed somebody mechanically inclined, and also somebody who wasn't afraid of heights. And so he called me. He was like, "Hey man, like I need another mechanic. You know, are you interested?" And I was kind of burned out at the time at Oakland Harley. I was doing a lot of collision repairs and stuff like that, so I was doing a lot of chassis stuff, but kind of felt like I was in a stagnant spot. Like I wasn't excelling anywhere. You know, I got to, for Harley classifications, I guess I was like master of electrical. So I was into my masters already with Harley Davidson, but I was just kind of burned out. So I took him up on that, and I was hanging off the side of, you know, big buildings for the next 2 years. And one of my good friends at the time, he's a piece of shit now, but
aren't they all?
Yeah, he was working there at the parts counter, and they were looking for at Ness, and they were looking for another mechanic, and you know, he referred me, and I knew the general manager over there, over at Ness. And so between the two of them, they just called me and were like, "Hey, you want a job?" I'm like, "Sure, I'm about done fucking hanging off buildings and you know, slinging counterweights around and everything." And so I just started working over there.
Though, like at all?
Oh yeah. It's putting trust in an engineered system that you really don't understand.
One of my good buddies always said this. We were at on top of a grandfather mountain in the Smokies. It's the tallest mountain there.
Okay.
And there's like a suspension bridge that goes across one peak to the next.
Yeah. So
it's not super far down, but it's you die.
Right.
You know. And he goes, "Man, you gotta understand. The lowest builder built this bridge."
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I think about that every time I'm driving on anything or doing anything where somebody built it. And you're like, yeah, so the lowest bidder did this.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and so yeah, it's always crazy, you know, understanding that stuff. And we even doing that, we were even inspecting rigs that are permanently installed on buildings for window washers.
Yeah.
Well, we would have to inspect those first and test them and go up and down before the window washers got on them. So if anything happened, it happened to us and not them, right?
Is there still safety harnesses and things like that?
Oh yeah. There's big tie-offs and stuff, but it's but the crazy thing is with some of those systems, they're engineered to where you tie to itself. So if the thing breaks, you're fucking dying anyways. Like, you know. So, but anyway, so I was doing that for a little while, and then I got just a phone call, and it was, "Hey, you want a job?" And I'm like, "Meh. Yeah, I can get back into bikes." Like, you know, I was riding a lot and just always been around it.
Yeah.
Did a lot of side jobs, you know, while I was not working for Harley, you know, and just went back to it. And a few years in, you know,
What year was this?
Shit, I want to say this is. So I started in Oakland Harley in 2003, so I probably went to about 2008. There, so about 2010 or so. Okay. And then from there, I worked for you know, Arlen and Corey and the Nesses for from I'd say 2010 to about 2.5 years ago. Yeah. And where I, you know, decided to part ways, and all on good terms, man. It was I was burned out, but anyways, it was a fucking awesome ride. Like, just all the cool shit I got to do and see and everything else. Absolutely. You know, I mean, working side by side with the legends, you know, I mean, literally they're fucking top of the food chain, you know, and they have been, you know, they started this shit. And it was awesome, man. It was great. But it was just on a whim. Got a phone call, man. I mean, that's... You were,
so you were just doing mechanic work up there for Ness, but then, like, at some point, it felt like you were almost at every angle of that company, from tech support to even traveling for the show, for the you know, like, because I saw you in Dallas that time.
Absolutely.
You know.
So shortly after I started there, you know, we had a few mechanics that were there that were working full time, but a lot of them were a little bit older and kind of set, you know, very grounded, and it wasn't really possible for them to travel as much. Yeah. And so it started out with, hey, you know, we got to go to Daytona for bike week. You know, we need an installer. Do you want to come? So I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll go and just put parts on. I mean, shit, that's all I did. I just sat in a tent and fucking threw parts on. got to talk to people and talk to them about, the parts and upsell stuff. And,
Yeah.
I hated the thought of being that used car salesman, that had to like sell people on shit. So it made it easier for me because I didn't care whether you bought it or not.
Yeah,
I'll show you what it is. If you like it, cool.
Cool. Yeah.
I'll help you out. I'll put it on. And I was always dead honest,
Mm-hmm.
But so I started doing that, and between Daytona and Sturgis, started doing some of the drag shows where they were, it was just basically dealer expos where you just talk about the parts.
Yeah.
And I saw you in Dallas at one of the JMP things, I think, and then also at Republic of Texas, the ROT rally.
Yeah, you were set up at ROT.
Yeah.
And then that was a wild year.
Yeah.
That was when I first did the Gold FXR.
Okay, yeah.
Because I had to trailer it down because I couldn't get the brakes to work in time.
Okay.
But yeah, JMP, it was IMS.
It was an IMS. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
And then
you had a bagger in that one too, I think.
Yeah, so I had the bagger and the Gold FXR. Yeah, that was right when we started this podcast.
Yeah. Shit, and we wanted to do one then.
Yeah, we were talking.
Yeah, we wanted to, and I couldn't. Just for me, it was hard. I didn't want to get my personal opinions tied up with the company image, I was very much a company guy. I always looked out for them. When I was employed with them, they were number one.
Yeah.
So, that was even with the TV show, just making sure that, they were always looked at in a good light.
Yeah. So how was it going in, just basically being the mechanic there, and the next thing you know, you're fucking filming TV shows and shit?
Man, that was a trippy one. I mean, I was literally just working on a bike one day, and Zack walks up and says, "Hey man, we got an opportunity to do kind of a casting interview for a TV show." I'm like, all right. He says, "You want to do it?" I'm like, well, fuck, I ain't got nothing else to do. I'm getting paid either way, right? So, I do whatever they tell me. And so we ended up just doing a casting, and a few months later, we got a call.
Mm-hmm.
And just out of the blue, just all the camera crews started showing up. Fucking lights started getting installed. And the first day of filming was getting ready to start, and I come walking over because, I was supposed to be the mechanic on it.
Yeah.
And, I get half the crew looking at me like, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm like, "What's up?" I'm like, "What the hell am I supposed to do?" And they're like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Fuck. Apparently I'm supposed to be the mechanic, And they're like, all right." So we just start figuring stuff out. And, there were a few projects that were kind of set up. I don't want to say set up like it was a plot, but, I mean, there's not much real about reality TV.
No, it's for sure.
But we already had ideas about the first bike and getting all that going, so everything was already there, and we had to.
Because y'all built that FXR really quick.
The FXR was first, and that one legitimately, if anybody watches that thing over again, I think they can still dig it up on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I watched it not so long ago.
That one, the timeline was 2 weeks. It was legitimately built in 2 weeks and 1 day. From the pile of parts to what was finished, it was 2 weeks and a day.
Damn.
So it's a lot of long hours, And then from then on, we started kind of working on multiple projects at the same time. I mean, it was kind of tough, especially dealing with a film crew that has never been around motorcycles.
Yeah.
They're trying to fucking get every angle and everything like that. And, they were just filming me. And I just got fucking 4 people just standing behind me, them just working, And I tried to explain to them, I'm like, there ain't nothing exciting about building a bike. Like, we're fucking glorified puzzle builders. That's all we are. You know what I mean? Like, that's all it is. Like, everything fucking bolts together for the most part. And for us, if it doesn't bolt together, well, we're going to either cut it and weld it, or we're going to drill a hole in it to make it fit. Like, it's going to fit. And that was the biggest change from doing custom motorcycles from a Harley dealership. Because, Harley dealers are always, if it doesn't bolt on, it doesn't go on.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when I went to Ness, it's, hey, here's all these parts, figure it out.
Yeah.
And you just got to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of room for creativity there. Unfortunately, sometimes you get handcuffed by the the greater image, you know, and the overall idea. You know, it may not be, you know, just because you have a good idea doesn't mean it's a good idea when it's not someone else's idea.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
that's it. Well, so when that camera crew came in, did they have their own plot, and they were basically just trying to get you guys to play the part of their TV show?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
You know, to a degree. I mean, we had the one guy. Honestly, it's been so long since I did it. I don't even remember his name right now. The old guy with beard.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank on his name, but you know,
was everybody on the show actually work for you guys, or were they
everybody but him?
Okay.
So he was brought in because he was
the likable old guy.
He was trying to catch the other demographic that we weren't. You know, Zach's a really good looking young guy. I'm kind of the tattooed, you know, kind of asshole to an extent that just works on the bikes. I mean, for me, the most important thing was the bikes. Yeah. I could have not said a word and just built the bikes, and I would have been perfectly happy.
Just fine.
You know, but and then this guy was, you know, brought in for, I don't want to say comedic relief, but you know, just to catch another demographic. You know, because you know, a lot of the middle-aged guys wouldn't really
identify with it.
Yeah. Exactly. They wouldn't identify with us so much, you know. And you know, we had an opportunity to do something really cool with that, you know. I mean, fucking, it would have been awesome. I mean, you know, the premise was sold to us as, you know, we'll be the motorcycle version of like Gas Monkey Garage or something, you know, where you take a pile of shit and you make it into something cool. Yeah. And that was great. I mean, you know, you give us an idea like that, and like, fuck, you know, Zach and I especially, we were just throwing different ideas off each other like crazy. Well, when you got a production company that's dealing with it that doesn't know motorcycles, you know, and they're trying to farm out work for us, they don't have the same opinion we do. So, you know, and they don't understand some of the timelines. I mean, no offense, but sometimes painters aren't the fastest. Yeah, you know what I mean? In dealing with, you know, I didn't weld at the shop. Like, I was never a welder for the shop. Can I weld? Yes. Can I weld to the degree that they need? No. You know, and so I was better turning wrenches than I was welding. And we have dedicated fabricators there, you know, and so when there's multiple hands that are doing things and it's not just one guy doing stuff, things take longer, you know? And the camera's tied up time a lot too. I mean, fuck that FXR. They had me pull the gear set for the transmission in and out of the case 7 times. Fuck. And finally I told them, hey bro, check it out. Like, it's going in this time and it's staying in. Like, I don't care. You better get your last shot. Like, literally they wanted every angle that they can get, sticking GoPros in the case itself so that they can get that shot of it sliding through there. Yeah. I'm like, cool, but you know what? At some point you got to get out of my way. Like, I just got to work, you know? But it was cool, man. You know, again, there was some of the differences of opinions with the production. I mean, some of the things we did weren't as cool. We brought a lot of ideas to them that just didn't come out. And, you know, we were kind of bummed at that, you know. How
many episodes did it release?
I think it was 10. I've honestly still not watched all of them. I've never seen all of them. Yeah. There was a few of them where I just couldn't. I
watched the first 3, and then I haven't seen, because I was trying to watch them before this trip just to kind
of course,
you know, understand Zach a little bit better, and then also seeing you on there, it's also, you know what I mean? Because I don't know you from that show. I know you from fucking running into you all over the country. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it was. I mean, it's a good show. It just sucks because every time a production company tries to remake what's already there, you know, instead of like finding people and just like talking, like, what do you think as a shop would be a dope portrayal of your business or the industry?
Absolutely.
You know, and then playing that narrative, because you know, the way Gas Monkey Garage happened is he walked around to shows with his own camera crew that he paid for.
Gotcha.
To follow him and do that shit, and then he pitched his show to Discovery.
Right.
As opposed to like them coming to you going, hey, this is what we want to do. Yeah. Imagine Gas Monkey Garage. But bikes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, man.
Exactly. You know, and I mean, the idea was great. I mean, fuck, we had ideas. You know, I wanted to do a legit, like, full comp hill climb Harley.
Yeah.
Like, just to literally take up some of the baddest hill climbs. I mean, right here in my backyard from my house is Carnegie, which has got an awesome hill climb every year. You know, full comp AMA hill climb. You know, and
that shit's gnarly to watch.
Oh, dude, it's so badass.
I never thought that you hear it and you go, oh, I'm not gonna go watch that, and then you see it and you're like, dude, it's intense.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of what I grew up doing as a kid, and you know, my uncle is a pro hill climber, and you know, all of them. I mean, shit, he's got a KTM with a fabricated frame and a turboed Hayabusa motor in it.
Holy shit!
You know what I mean? Like, they got some gnarly shit. But there's a few Harleys out there that I've seen, and they're relatively competitive because they got the bottom end torque to rip it up the hill. Yeah. You know, so I wanted to do something like that. I wanted to take, say, you know, and it's not a crazy conversion anymore, you know, but, you know, I wanted to take a side-by-side and put an R1 motor in it. I mean, fuck, why not put 1,000 cc, you know, 1,000 cc, you know, fucking inline 4 R1 motor or something in there and go rip and go race some sand rails and shit, you know, like cool shit like that. But instead we're doing, you know, motors and bicycles and fucking, you know, dumb shit like that but again, there's a lot of other people that are involved with those ideas, and you know, we got handcuffed on a lot of our really good ideas. Yeah. You know, and then we had some awesome bikes that we did, man, that flat track Sportster that we did. I don't know if you saw that one, but it was like a 74 Ironhead Sportster. I
think that was the third episode that I started to watch.
Yeah, and
because it got to a point where you were doing multiple shit on multiple shows.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing where it's, you know, I mean, the reality is trying to build a bike. There's so many stagnant points where you got powder coat out and you're waiting for parts. Well, instead of sitting on my hands, I'm working on the next bike. So we got to hide shit, you know, and make things look a certain way. So I can't. You know, I can't shave. I can't get any more tattoos. I can't do certain things. I can't change my haircut because, you know, it's...
We watched a barbecue show on Netflix the other day, me and my wife, and the entire season, everybody wears the exact same outfit. The entire season.
Yeah, because the time frames are not accurate. So you got to, you know, they have to cut stuff together to make it work and to make it look, you know, have the continuity flow. So... yeah, it was a lot of that stuff, man. But it was fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was one of those, by the time I was done with it, I hated it. And I was over it, and I didn't want to have another camera in my face. Like, I was just tired. Yeah. I mean, there were so many nights, bro, I'd, you know, working throughout the night. I mean, catch a nap on the concrete floor in the back kind of thing, you know, just trying to, you know, catch a couple hours. My wife would come visit me just to see me, you know, because I was there so much. And, just because the deadlines were real. I mean, when there was actually a real deadline where it was, they were trying to film something and they had everything booked somewhere else. Fuck, I got to get this thing done. Like, it's got to work, you know?
What was the show called again?
Let It Ride.
Let It Ride, that's right.
Let It Ride, yeah, it was...
I think it's all on on YouTube right now.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Because I watched like 3 episodes because I got the TV above my workstation at the shop and I just like binge stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, it still had to be a cool experience, but...
It was definitely a cool experience. It was something that, you know, I'm fortunate that, you know, like every now and then my son will ask, you know, something about bikes and stuff. And, you know, he knows that I was on TV, but, you know, he's 6 now and every now and then I'll remind him and he'll ask me to watch something. And so I'll turn it on and I'll just leave because I don't want to fucking watch it, you know, but, you know, so he's seen me on TV, which is cool. You know, it's definitely something that, you know, with the power of the internet, you know, I'm one of very few that made it to that point, you know? Yeah. And, I mean, honestly, just lucky, man. It was luck of the draw, you know?
So you ultimately got burnt out on, I mean, working with Ness, like I said, you pretty much worked in almost every department. Yeah. And, like you were just telling me, like the last straw was was M8s.
Yeah. My final straw was, you know, shortly after the M8 came out, and there was the blow-by issue with the M8 oiling system and the breather system in it. everything's all fine and good on a stock M8 with a sealed up airbox. But as soon as you put an open air cleaner like the Ness Big Sucker or the Monster Sucker or any of those, which all perform amazing and they give you a ton of power and they fucking work.
Yeah.
And, the reality is they're built really well. But now you don't have a sealed up airbox holding in a bunch of this oil that's getting puked out of the breather bolts. So I was fielding calls, at that time.
When did you have your injury, though?
So I got in my accident October 3rd, 2014. My kid was born in June of that year, so I had a 4-month-old, and I ended up getting sideswiped by a car and stuffed underneath another one, getting just commuting to work on a Friday morning.
Yeah.
Broke my back, and fucking had to rebuild from that. But in my recovery, and I was still wrenching at that point. And so at the point when I started getting, at a point in my recovery where I could start doing light duty stuff, I was getting back to work, and the Nesses were amazing through that whole thing, bro. Like, I mean, instead of my bike getting towed and impounded, they heard about it, rushed and got my bike picked up and brought to the shop. Like, actually, no, it did get towed, but they took care of all the towing stuff. They took care of everything. Sherry, which is Arlen's daughter, that's Corey's sister. Yeah. She handles a lot of the day-to-day stuff there. And, bro, she was at the hospital waiting for my wife to show up and took care of my son while she was in the ICU with me. You know what I mean? That's good. Like, the family is amazing. The Ness family is fucking awesome. Like, I can't say enough about them. Yeah. So I ended up getting hurt in October of 2014, and on my way, back to recovery, they asked if I can start helping out in the office doing tech support stuff. So I ended up becoming the guy that anytime anybody had any issues, with any parts, not understanding how to put it on, parts missing, for some reason it doesn't fit their bike as they're trying to install it.
I feel like I ran into you at Sturgis one day for an air cleaner bolt.
Yeah.
Was that you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember I rode the FXR to Sturgis, and then I lost the air cleaner bolt. Thank you. And I was like, oh, they're set up at JP. Fuck, I ripped over there and you had one.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
And so, I do stuff like that all the time. And, I was either the guy on the phone, and I was also the guy answering all the emails, and that was kind of my light duty. Well, it kind of stuck, I ended up kind of being
good at it,
pretty good at it,
like most of the time you're not going to get an actual tech on the phone when you call. Right.
Yeah. And so that was the thing, is that they were in a good spot for on their end, on the Ness's side, for business, is you have an actual mechanic that's worked with every single bit of their product, and knows it inside and out, that can talk someone through it. Luckily I kind of did all right in school, and I was able to, I could put a decent email together and talk to and I can communicate with somebody. A lot of times I think you're an idiot, but I just won't call you an idiot while you're on the phone, but it's, so I was able to do a lot of that, and that grew into, getting all the fitment for the catalogs. So I was helping proof the catalogs. I was helping Zack out doing all the stuff to make sure that if we listed it for a bike, it did fit. Yeah. And it wasn't just for our catalog. It ended up being for the J&P catalog, the drag catalog, custom chrome. And so everything had to mesh. Yeah. I got to learn so much of the back end of the actual industry that it almost sucked the fun out of some of it, just knowing.
Yeah. If you pull too many curtains back, it can reveal too much of it to make it not feel as custom, if you will, or free. Yeah. So, but
it was still great though. I mean, being able to do that, that turned into helping out with a lot of the R&D on new products. So I was fortunate that my desk was literally planted right outside Arlen and Corey's door, and if any of them had any questions, I had the knowledge of the bikes themselves to be able to talk to them about what may fit, what may not, how to navigate around certain things, and how to help with issues, when issues came up. And, back to my final straw, being the M8 blow-by thing. It's, I knew that there was the issue. At the time, I think Harley had already been on their 7th revision of the oil pump. Mm-hmm. To the point of where they stopped changing the number and they just started putting stamp marks in the oil pump as they were changing it, trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Having an open air cleaner, there was no way to really get rid of the issue at hand because it was a mechanical issue with the oil sumping and everything else. But I went to Corey with an idea of how to change their existing design, not to change the actual performance of anything, but just how to route the oil differently that was coming out of those breather bolts to actually push it further into the intake tract to let the motor consume it. Mm-hmm. And that's really what Harley was doing anyways. It was just finding a way to not infringe on anything and find our own way. And if anybody sees it now, those rubber shooters, I was kind of the one that sat there in Corey's office and showed him some things to make that all work. And it's basically just rubber elbows that plug into a machine recess in the air cleaner backing plate, and it just forces that blow, the
oil back
the
towards
oil
the throttle,
and blows it right in, and it just diverts it as far in as we can get it without it coming.
So what it was doing
out.
is it was coming back out and seeping through the air cleaner, right?
Yeah. So what it was doing was the way the design of the original backing plates was there was just a hole drilled in it, and that hole would come out of the backing plate, and there was a ridge that was cast in, but there was so much coming out that it wasn't able to just slowly and gradually flow back in. Mm-hmm. So it was running down the side of the backing plate and soaking into the air cleaner. Well, the air cleaner can only take so much before it starts dripping out the side and then all the way down your fucking leg and, your chick's leg and down the saddlebag and everything else. And you got oil everywhere. And so fielding probably a dozen calls a day of dudes being pissed off, that there's fucking oil down the side of their bike and that it's my fault and everything else.
Yeah, they're not calling you happy. Like, hey,
no,
man, fucking love the part, but there's this one spot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. So, at some point I just finally was like, you know what, I gotta find something else. I ended up getting basically I got a job at a water company. I'm a plumber. I'm in the ditch now, replacing water mains and fixing broken pipes and shit. But
those people calling every day and you're absorbing all that. Not that they're intentionally trying to be negative, but they're just not happy.
No,
and that affects you as a person. You know what I mean? Absorbing all that.
Absolutely.
That content. That whatever.
Yeah, and it was some of those, they, customers would come on so pissed off, and it's like, hey man, I remember at one point I was on the phone with somebody. I'm like, hey bro, check it out. I didn't break your bike, I didn't buy the part, and I didn't install it. I said, I'm here to help you. Mm-hmm. Like, so if you're gonna treat me like a shit, like you're not gonna get much out of me. I'm gonna do the bare minimum to help you. Yeah. Or you can be cool, and I'll go the extra mile to help you. Like, I had the ability to send out whatever I needed to make sure that the customer was taken care of. And that goes for anybody. I mean, shit, it's a lot for people to remember is like the guy on the other end of that phone, like, I know your bike is your biggest priority, but it's not necessarily ours, but we're here to help, Yeah. And it's like, fuck, man, like, how can I help you? Like, you spent your hard-earned money. We all earn our money, Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not trying to screw anybody here. And the Nesses, they stand by their product, and they really want everybody to be happy with it.
Yeah, they really care about it. You can tell, like I said, I just did the podcast with them, and now I'm here. And that's definitely something I took from finally meeting both, Corey and Zack. Yeah. And from, the way they kind of showed me around and their excitement in their products that they have coming out, too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I mean, Corey, man, he is... he loves to design and innovate stuff. That's what he does. He and Zack for that matter too. I mean, they have clashing ideas sometimes.
Yeah.
That, they don't really always see eye to eye. And Steve over there, he's a great buffer for a lot of that. Yeah. And but I think they got a lot of really cool shit coming out. With the change in styles. Yep. There's a lot going on, and there's been a lot going on for the past few years. And
the products that I just saw, I feel like they're basically they're filling a void, not a void, but they're capitalizing on this niche with high quality products.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of badass products out there being made by smaller individuals, individual companies, things like that. But we haven't got to that point with performance where big names really put a stamp on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's the guys from, what is it, Epic Moto, who did those. They were kind of the first to like mainstream those mid controls. But I mean, the reality is mid controls been on baggers. I mean, I got a buddy out here that did it in like 03, 2003. So I mean, it's a big pissing contest on who's first and who's this. I mean, it's like, fuck, man, who cares? As long as everybody's on it, and everybody's enjoying it. I mean,
that's the I think the first set of T-bars I ever saw in a bagger was Scotty from Hard Knock Cycles over here in Manteca. Yeah. And he pulled up blaring his music. It was straight up a big wheel bagger, but with T-bars. Yeah. He didn't have a big wheel on it.
Right.
And I was like, fuck, that's kind of rad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And these dudes out here just, they fucking, like, motorcycles are so much more a part of people's life in the Bay Area, and even in SoCal. They ride them, they commute on them.
Yeah.
And so people jump. The trends happen a lot quicker here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think with like recently, it's always been that way, but now that social media is where it's at, it reaches the other coast way quicker.
Absolutely.
And so, I think that performance baggers was one of the first things that immediately shot across the country, and it grew faster.
Right.
Somewhere else.
Right.
It's definitely from the coast.
Yes.
But I feel like it grew quickly in popularity.
And it's a really hard thing to define. I mean, shit, man. Especially from being up here and being around the motorcycle culture in Northern California for so long. I mean, I've been in it since, the early 2000s, and it's funny, I've listened to some of the podcasts talking about T-bars and stuff, T-bars on baggers, and it's debatable, and I don't even like saying it, but I put on a really early set of T-bars on a street glide when it was told it couldn't be done, and I think it was in like 04. I think the bike itself was like in 04 and 05, so it might have been, it was right around that time. And I took an electric glide. It was an electric glide classic, and I was like, fuck, man, I can do this, because we had already done it on a road glide, right? Mm-hmm. So I already had known where everything was at, kind of figured it out. At the time, there was only the Wild One chubbies, right? Mm-hmm. And you can only get them in like a 10-inch rise. That was literally all that was out there. And Scotty from West Coast T-Bars was just starting to kind of get his business going too. And, it was one of those, I was like, fuck, man, I think I can do it, and so.
What'd you have to do?
We ripped the stereo out of it,
Mm-hmm.
Ran, I don't even know if they're still in business, hog-wired, the hog-wired amps.
Yeah.
We ended up hooking up the whole stereo to the hog-wired amp with a jack, so they can still plug my buddy can still plug his iPhone in, or actually shit, at the time it was just an iPod.
Yeah.
And
Had to check his MySpace.
That's it, exactly. But I still have the actual template sitting in my toolbox, and I cut it out of cardboard, but we took the Electric Glide standard box, and I did basically a half notch in that, and half notch the actual radio opening, and just slammed the bars in. Like, it was a motherfucker to actually work with and install, because you had to kind of install the bars with the fairing kind of opened up like a clamshell before you closed it again and mounted it. So super awkward, but I mean, fuck, they got on there, I mean.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing that sucks about when we have these conversations, because there's so many outliers or early adopters or whatever that I know took place. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm talking about 2014 when I saw it, and you're now telling me about this this anomaly in the fucking, in the space-time continuum where it was done in 04.
Right. And it was funny because I did it, and I was doing it in my garage, and one of our other buddies had come over. And he's a pretty big influence in the Bay Area, and he kind of saw me doing it, and he stayed. He saw what I was doing, and he stayed, and he watched, and he's like, he waited, got it all done. We pulled it off the lift, and it sat there, and he just looked at it for a second. He sat on the bike, and he looked at my buddy and goes, "Hey, check it out. You're not riding this bike until mine's done." We had another set of bars ordered immediately, and they came the next day because
For real?
of drag, and I threw on another set, and they both came out at the same time. I'm not saying I was the first,
Yeah.
but you know, it was just one of those ideas like, oh man, I think I can make it happen. And so there was 2 electric glides with fucking T-bars, like literally came out 2 days from each other.
Nice.
And it was, you know, again, I mean, fuck. Unless you're Arlen, you know, ain't nobody doing shit first.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't make a claim to fame like I was the first to do anything, you know. I was also at the Harley dealership in Oakland when Fly-by-Wire first came out.
Yeah.
You know, Throttle by Wire, and I had one of our customers, good friend. It was actually, was it Mike? So Mike from BMC, BMC choppers and BMC
Yeah.
seats, he wanted a road glide with T-bars on it. Well, he got a fly-by-wire, and nothing was cut for fly-by-wire at the
Yeah.
time. So I made a template, cut the shit out, stuffed it in there. Had to bore the bar out a little bit,
Yeah.
and got it in for him. But it was one of those, they pulled me into the sales office while I was fucking there, and they're like, hey, can you make this happen? I'm like, well, yeah. But I couldn't do it on the clock because it was custom at
Yeah.
a Harley dealer, so I had to do it outside of there.
Mm.
But again, that's another one that, you know, a long time ago, shit got done. But it's cool, man. I'm glad that, you know, things are coming along, you know, and the bikes are able to actually truly be ridden. I mean,
Yeah.
fuck, when you look at it, cops have been riding these bikes harder than any of us for fucking, you know, 20 years, 25 years. They've been on these fucking Road Kings dragging boards everywhere and doing shit that, you know, we don't even realize, but they do it because it's their office every day. you know?
Yeah.
So it's...
That's a really good perspective, though, man. Like, because you know it sucks because at one side I really want to like champion all the dudes that I feel like I've been putting in work over the last couple of years helping push this brand or this genre of bikes, but
Right.
you know, there's no way that you can really sit back and be like, oh well, you know, us on the other side of the Rockies, when obviously, you know, it's for sure. It's just like I don't know. I really don't know how to. I guess we need a fucking documentary on T-bars, dude.
Right. And I mean, shit, if you do
Netflix,
that, yeah,
if
Netflix,
you hear us.
yeah, fucking check it out. But I mean, shit, even if you think about that, and you look at some of Arlen's early stuff in his museum, man,
Yeah.
there's fucking T-bars on that shit. You know, there's just drag bars that are put on shit in the 70s. I mean, that dude has done so much for the industry.
Yeah.
And I mean, and not to knock anybody or anything, but I mean, fuck, you talk about performance baggers. He was putting full fairing shit on in the 70s and 80s when everybody thought it was the ugliest. It was ugly as sin.
Yeah.
He's got a bike in there that looks like a Ferrari with twin superchargers on it.
Yeah,
You know what I
saw
mean?
it.
Like, there's fucking crazy shit that he was doing before anybody thought it was even possible. You know. And that dude was the most, you know, that man was more humble than anybody I've ever met. I mean,
Yep.
if, you know, the humility that, you know, he expressed on a daily basis is unlike anything I've ever seen before. And I'll take that away from him more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that comes with you know, when you're a man that is able to have such a vast amount of people that you can call friends.
Yes.
That's one of those things that you know, these people don't become like just your friends. Like, these people help shape you as a person. And so
Absolutely.
when you have a lot of good friends, you get to see a lot of different type of people. You get to absorb a lot of good personality traits from different people to kind of, you know, really shape you into a better person.
Right.
You know, and if you only know 3 dudes your whole life, then that's your, you know, you're basically bouncing that wall, you know, bouncing the ball off 2 different walls the entire time versus someone like Kim who quickly was friends with, you know, people from across the country due to the bike shows and the bike events. You know, that stuff rubs off on you and it helps shape you into a very palatable human being, if you will, you know?
Absolutely. But the sad thing is that in that same breath, you know, we can also say, I mean, there's a lot of guys that have risen to the top really fast, jumping on certain fads that are just flat out pieces of shit. Like,
Yeah. I
I don't want to name any names, and I never will, but I mean, fuck, there's a lot of guys that,
it's something me and you probably can't attest to because we weren't there, but maybe back in the 70s when they were going to the shows, it was more of just a party.
man,
you know?
I was fortunate enough in Daytona, and it's probably one of the greatest memories I'll ever I'd say top 5 memories I've had with Arlen.
Yeah.
And we were sitting in the back of one of his buddies' shops right there on that main drag in downtown Daytona where everybody fucking parties and shit. And he's got an old chopper fucking shop in there, right? And it's just selling a bunch of leather and just crap, you know? Like, and the inventory's probably been in there for fucking 20 years. You know, some of the stuff just every year. Yeah, exactly. Nothing's ever been, you know, some of the stuff's never been sold. But we're sitting back there, and the guy's name's Denver Arlen. I don't even know if he's still around anymore. But Arlen Ness and Denver Arlen, you know, they were telling me that they used to do the shows together when before Harley was smart and got the trademark on, you know, their actual logos and shit. So Denver Arlen was knocking off like mirrors and different, you know, side covers and stuff and derby covers with the Harley logo on it, and they were, you know, he was telling me he set up his briefcase on a garbage can at one of these trade shows, and he was showing people his shit, and so, and we're literally sitting in the stock room of this old shop on folding chairs, drinking Coors Light, like just some of the legends. I mean, some of the Hampshire and shit, and I'm just sitting here looking like I don't fucking belong here, you know, but I'm welcomed, and they're like shedding so much history on me on shit that, you know, this guy Denver Arlen, apparently he showed up to Sturgis one year with a full-on semi-truck full of fucking Coors, you know, beer just for the fucking party, you know, and I'm like, man, the shit used to be so much different, you know. I mean,
that's why I really feel like back in the day these dudes went to these events and clicked up and partied together.
Absolutely.
And then there's been this last, you know, probably 20 years. I don't feel like it's that way now because of social media, but everybody they have their own clique, and it's ego driven if you think about it, right?
Big time.
Because if I was to only hang out with the dudes that were always, you know, sorry to say, but the people that sweat my nuts, basically.
Right. And
though that becomes my entourage, like there's no way I could ever be subject to real criticism. If I'm hanging around a bunch of motherfuckers that do what I do, then you're able to kind of just be equal with everybody in a sense.
Absolutely.
On the playing field of being in bikers, not like in life as far as finances, you know. But so that's why I say that, like back then, I think that they were able to build these real friendships, and that's why you have things like the Hamsters, and there's all these these dudes that were never quite as famous as Arlen or fucking, you know, Perowitz or something like that, but are just as important to those two dudes.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. And you also sit there and think too, you know, I mean, you know, these guys were riding fucking stretched out, cut up Sportsters, and they're riding them across the fucking country.
Yeah.
How they got where they had to go with fucking peanut tanks and everything else, and, you know, I mean, fuck, man, I heard stories about them throwing bikes together, full on engine assembly and fucking throwing a bike together the night before they leave for Sturgis, just to fucking take off and go to Sturgis.
Yeah.
And it's like, shit doesn't happen now. Like, everything's got to be perfect, and then you got to load it in the trailer.
It's to that point, because I've heard these stories too, man. It's to that point as to why I feel like the way that we've been trying to push things with riding and partying and camping, it takes you back to why these dudes fell in love with bikes. Yeah. What happened is these guys were fucking, I'm assuming, generalizing here.
Of course.
These dudes had shops, they built bikes, they wanted to party, but like the first couple of times of going to Sturgis, it's like, dude, let's just go up Sturgis and party.
Yeah.
And then they go up there and they become these brands, these names. Oh, fucking, that's Arlen Ness. He's actually riding the bike. Or that's Perowitz.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, as the industry grows, so do their popularity and their parts and their things. Right. Oh, shit. Sturgis ain't just a party no more. We got to go make money there.
Yeah.
So here comes the semis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And here comes all these parts. And like, then these dudes are probably sitting around, you know, in the back of shops reminiscing about all this shit that they did when they didn't have to be a brand at an event.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that was the coolest thing to actually see was, you know, the fact that they were just real people, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, being able to just sit there and just talk to them about real shit and just, you know, the stuff they used to do back in the day and, you know, the old burning a Honda in a fucking bonfire, like that shit really fucking happened. Like, you know, it was, you know, the funny stuff. I wonder if
at the Wingding they do that to a Harley.
Man, I was yeah, right. I was listening to that podcast with the FXR Goldwing mic, and that was fucking awesome, man. I hope you guys end up doing that shit.
It looks cool. It'd be fun to do it just to kind of capitalize off that podcast we did.
Absolutely. No, it's cool, man. It's fucking awesome. You know, Ness has been a great part of, you know, my career and my life. Like, I will never forget so many things that happened there. I mean, some of the coolest, you know, and kind of backpedaling back to that TV show, man. Like, there was experiences that I had with Arlen on those, you know, on some of those days where, you know, there was that. You probably didn't see the episode, but there was a gold and black digger frame that we did, and it was one of the last of the new digger frames that they had produced, probably 15 years ago. But it was kind of the last of the last, and man, all the production company wanted was to fucking see that thing fire up. Right? They didn't give a shit if it rode. They didn't nothing. Like all they needed for filming was to make sure that it actually started. So, you know, everybody stuck around, and it was a Saturday, and everybody stuck around, and I was fucking working on it, made it fire up. And as soon as it fired up, everybody just packed their shit and took off. But I still had probably 2-3 hours worth of work to do on it. Yeah. And the coolest thing was Arlen was up there, and he wanted to see it kind of, you know, he wanted to see it fire, but he also wanted to see it run and take off, you know. Yeah. And I was buttoning things up, and there he was, man, just sitting there with me for a good couple hours, just sitting on a chair he had made out of an old Heritage Softail seat on one of the fucking, you know, adjustable things. Yeah. And he's just sitting on it, and we're just hanging out, just shooting the shit. And I'm just finishing up everything on this bike, man. And it's like things like that humbles me only, you know, in the sense that the shit I got to do, like, there's so many people in the world that respected him so much that they would pay and give anything to do that.
He had a fucking letter signed from the president.
Oh, absolutely.
Dude.
It's fucking amazing, man.
A biker.
Yeah, right?
Who probably got chased by cops his whole fucking life, ripping around.
Yeah. But, man, he was a family man. He was everything, dude. He was fucking awesome. He was a great dude.
Yeah, that sounds awesome, man. Like, it really is dope. I'm glad that, you know, he was, you know, he's part of our generation, you know?
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. I mean, he shaped what we do in the motorcycle industry, you know? I mean, you know, the museum is a testament, you know, his collection is a testament to all the shit that he was doing before it was cool. And he did it because he thought it was cool. Yeah. You know, and lo and behold, you know, full circle, it fucking comes around,
yeah,
dude.
It does.
It's crazy, but
so yeah, man. After you were, you know, working there, and you know, you broke your back, lost interest, fucking M8s, you know,
fucking M8s. Now I own one.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
So what was the like? Obviously, you were not scared of heights. Like, then you went through a fucking stint of basically skydiving and then base jumping.
Well, so
or was you doing? What was you doing?
I never got into base jumping, so that was one of those things that I really piqued my interest, but it never evolved yet. Yeah. And I say yet because, hey, there's still time.
There's still time.
You know, but
it's usually not what they do after they break their back.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But when you did have the accident though, like, was it like that so severe that you like had any kind of concern about being able to walk again, or was it more of like a safer fracture kind of thing?
So little did I know when I got in the accident in 2014 and everything happened, and I'm fucking sitting there in ICU and all that shit, you know, the doctor walks away, and, you know, it's just like fucking movies. Doctor walks away and talks to the wife and talks to the family. Well, apparently he told my mom and my wife that there was a decent chance that I might not be able to walk when I came out of surgery, you know, and I didn't know, you know, yeah. And I mean, fuck, all I knew was that, you know, I broke my back, and I knew I broke my back immediately. Like, I told the paramedics while I was laying on the side of the road that I broke my back. And that was a pretty funny conversation too, but, they, you know, I go through surgery, and, you know, I don't know any other way. I was very fortunate that I was in really good physical shape. Like, yeah. I was going to the gym all the time, and I was fucking working out, so I was strong. And, so they ended up fusing 6 vertebrae together. I basically obliterated one vertebrae. It basically compressed on itself so hard that it blew apart. And they, you know, they were telling me, okay, ballpark, you know, you're probably not going to get out of the hospital for 45 days. Mm-hmm. You know, that was their estimate, you know. And lo and behold, I was out in 17. Like, I was out of completely discharged in 17. The day after my major surgery, I stood up for the first time, and 2 days after the surgery, I took 3 steps. The third day after surgery, I walked out of the room, down the hall, and fucking around the corner.
Nice.
And they didn't know what the hell to do with me, right?
Yeah.
Like, but all I had was a 4-month-old kid that, like, I just told everybody, you know, I told myself more than anything, I was like, I'm going to fucking teach that kid how to walk if it kills me.
Yeah, or learn how to walk or walk again before he does.
I'm going to beat this little guy
Competition.
to walking, right? And so, you know, I did that, and it was, you know, I just worked my ass off and just got back to it. And, I mean, fuck, it was probably, I guess my son was probably 2, and my wife asked me what I wanted to do for Father's Day one year, and I was like, and I just said, I want to go skydiving. So she's like, okay, and she sets me up with a tandem, and fucking off I go, do a skydive, jump out of the plane, and the first thing that went through my mind as soon as the parachute opened was, I'm going to do this the rest of my life.
For real.
As short as it may be, if I decide to start skydiving, like, I'm going to do this shit the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I signed up for jump school the next week, and like I started jumping every weekend. Like, wasn't really concerned too much about bikes. Like, I rather wanted to spend time, you know, getting stuffed into a plane and throwing myself out of it, you know.
Yeah.
And fuck, man, talk about it definitely kind of, it checks your abilities. I mean, it's such a difficult sport to hone in on. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I suck still. Like, to this day, I got a few hundred jumps, and I don't
want to suck at jumping out of a plane, man. I'll be honest with you.
I mean, and when I say suck, I mean, it comes to when you start, it's just like anything, the progression, right? Like, even when we're riding and we're riding aggressive, you know, the progression is, how do you go faster? How do you do cool shit?
Yeah.
Like, you know, how do you stand up or fly on your head and do weird shit? And man, it's so easy to just check yourself, and just, you get fucking thrown around and tossed around, and one little movement of your foot, and all of a sudden
it's like the art of falling.
It is the art of falling.
You know?
Like, you don't fly, you fall. Like, 100%. You know, all you're doing is falling. And
when I would go to like the swimming hole and we jump off like the 12-foot spot.
Oh yeah.
I have no control of myself in the air.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you just, like, natural. Like, I'm not even trying to do it. You're just grabbing for something or swinging your arms. It's weird.
Oh fuck, man! I fucking can't do a backflip off a fucking cliff to save my life still. But send me out at 13,000 feet, I'll get a few in. You know. So, but it's been rad. I ended up. So I was really starting to get serious about talking about base jumping. You know, when we started talking about that. And that was about 2 years into skydiving or so, roughly. I ended up rolling over in bed and snapping both the titanium rods in my back.
Are you 30-something yet? Yeah, dude, that shit happens, man.
Shit, man, I'm fucking 36 or 37, but yeah, dude, I just, I happened to roll over in bed, and it popped so loud that it woke up both my dogs and my wife from a dead sleep. Like, it was that loud.
Did it hurt?
It was weird. Like,
like you knew something was wrong?
Yeah, I knew something was wrong. And ended up, so apparently deadlifting 365 when you weigh 160 pounds is not a good idea when you have fucking rods in your back.
There you go.
So, needless to say, I stressed everything out, and I fucking snapped them, right? Mm-hmm. Which was actually the best thing that ever happened to me, because the doctor fucking just flat out said, all right, we're just going to take everything out, and pulled all my hardware out, and I'm fucking good as new.
Normal, yeah.
You know, and it's, again, a testament to my physical condition. Like, I was working out a ton, and, you know, unlike now, COVID, fucking fat shit, you know, but it's the way shit goes. But, yeah, so I ended up recovering from that one pretty quick. That was like 2 years after I actually broke my back, and skydiving kind of slowed down because of the whole stupid pandemic. Apparently, you're not supposed to stuff 14 people into a small airplane.
Yeah, you can do 3 feet now out here.
Oh, is it 3 feet?
Yeah, I think I think California's moved to 3. We're wide open in Texas. If
That's
you wanna,
awesome.
If you want to come down.
You know what? I've actually almost taken a job offer or two, over the years in Texas, and I fucking love Texas, dude. I'd love to move there. My wife just got a fucking rad job with the government, and hopefully she might be able to move, but I'm not going anywhere anytime soon.
Dude, the thing about it is, like, if you can figure out how to manage up here,
yeah,
it's just be here.
Yeah,
just be here. It's a better spot.
Yeah, I mean, not to get too into politics and shit, but a lot of the other politics suck here. But
yeah,
I mean, California is great though. Like, I love. My whole world's here. You know what I mean? As much as I'd like to try and do something else,
I just hope all the people that are leaving are the conservatives. And not the other side that's going to go everywhere else and fuck our shit up.
Fuck everything else up. Yeah.
Maybe it's a master plan, basically.
Yeah.
I'm going to go pee real quick.
Yeah.
I got these dos seconds. Cool. Yeah, man, like jumping. I tried to, I think I told you I did a podcast with the other dude, the No Feet, No Problem dude. And he actually lost both his legs jumping. He was hardcore, right?
Yeah.
And we did a podcast with him, I think 2 years ago now. And I can't remember what it was. It was something happened, like there was something happening. He talks about it in the podcast where he, lost control of something and it just came down too hard.
Okay.
He was still, the parachute actually came out, but something happened. And it shattered his legs and he lost one, but then just not having one, the new way that I guess those springs that a lot of guys would use or whatever.
Yep.
The other leg was more of the problem now than this.
Gotcha.
So he ended up having the other one amputated just to have two.
Okay.
It was weird. Like,
That's a trip.
And I ended up talking to him because he was racing a bagger on Coda in Austin.
Okay.
And he was doing
some
all
of that stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't happen to hear the podcast though.
Yeah. It was pretty good, man. Like, he was talking about that because he was an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
Looking for that type of thing. But I guess dude, honestly, jumping out of a plane can't be, the danger level seems more dangerous, but it's probably no more dangerous than riding the bike. Right?
Honestly, fucking riding a bike's way more dangerous.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
A lot more factors.
Well, there's so many more factors, we always say, in the sky, the sky's really big until you jump out of an airplane and it's really small.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because then you have, say my, the plane I jump out of on a regular basis, there's at least 12 other guys coming out of it within a, quarter mile stretch. I mean, it's pretty easy to have somebody's fucking big old ball of flesh coming at you at 120 miles an hour when you don't know it, and I mean, it's an easy way to get killed. But again, I mean, it's fun, and it was another outlet for me. It was another challenge, and something to kind of get me out of my own head.
How many times do you have to jump with a person before you're able to do it solo?
Technically none.
For real?
Yeah, like if you feel like you want to do it, you can sit through an 8-hour class and do jump school, and they'll send you out of a fucking plane by yourself.
Nice. Do you have like some kind of thing to let you know where your altitude is?
Yeah,
to know when to pull?
So I actually have a digital altimeter on my wrist or forearm that tells me where I'm at, and then I have one in my helmet too that just beeps at me. So if I get it tells me when I'm coming close to my time where if I'm jumping with people that I would separate. Another time where it's time to open, so you pull your parachute, and then there's an oh shit one that really goes off, and it's like you better pull your shit right now or it's gonna go bad. And so it's adjustable, so you can kind of mess with it.
That's cool.
So there's a lot of safety stuff. I mean, my rig itself has an automatic system in it that it calculates your rate of fall speed. What is it? It's your rate of fall and altitude. And so if you're falling too fast under a certain altitude, it fires the reserve parachute on its own. So say you're knocked unconscious, it can still pop it. And, you may break your legs or something, but, you're still going to float to the ground instead of just spike into it. It's been fun. I mean, got to meet some really cool people that actually ride. There's a lot of there's there's a wide variety of people that skydive.
What would you say is the most? What is the thing that pulls you back to that jumping? Like, what's the most?
The challenge, because sucking is not in my it's not in my DNA. Like I want to, there's always a progression there. So, like we go back to riding. A lot of the stuff with riding. I mean, fuck, I've thrown down a couple 100,000 miles in my lifetime, right? And we have a lot of time to hone in that skill within those miles.
Yeah.
When you're jumping out of an airplane, you basically have between 45 seconds and a minute to do what you're going to do acrobatically.
Yeah.
And then you pull your parachute, you float to the ground, you got to pack that fucking thing back up, wait for another plane, and then go back up. So it's very short stints when you get to actually hone your skills in or do your practice.
Yeah.
So it's a constant challenge to actually get good, and it gets really fucking expensive too.
Yeah.
Like even at $25 a jump, once you own all your equipment and own all your gear, it still gets pricey,
Yeah.
and it soaks up so much of your time. And it's it's time away from your family, it's time away from your other buddies that think you're an idiot for jumping out of an airplane.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of shit.
So what was making you want to pursue the whole base jumping idea?
Again, same thing, progression. So one of my really good buddies that I actually met through skydiving, he was a professional base jumper too. And it's kind of that progression thing of just trying to do something different.
So once you actually pull the parachute, you have a lot of control. Like you learn all the mechanisms to guide yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And to make it like a nice fluffy soft landing and all that stuff, like
I would figure that would be more important for the base jumping aspect than just the fall aspect. Really.
Absolutely. Yeah. So and the base jumping thing, it's just more of an adrenaline rush. There's more risk involved, which having a wife and 2 kids isn't the smartest thing to do.
Yeah.
I've kind of moved on to another great dumb idea that to knock off the list, and I don't know what's going to happen after that. But I've had some friends talk me into bull riding. And so it's like, yeah, fuck, got a broken back, might as well jump on a bull. Like, what's the difference?
But I think we were talking about that with Mike. He pulled his bicep.
No shit.
It was like hanging down. It was the grossest thing in the world.
Yeah.
But that looks. I guess, have you watched Yellowstone at all?
No.
Dude, it's such a good TV show. It's like Sons of Anarchy for cowboys.
All right.
So, it's pretty dope.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of a bull riding aspect because they're all cowboys on a ranch, and then that happens. But it's like anything. I mean, it's probably like the same thing. Like you jump on a bull, and there's this like anticipation, just like when you're sitting in that chute or that hold. And it's probably the same as sitting in the airplane, ready for it to fucking open up, and then it's all off to the races, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of anticipation and wait, and then, then it becomes comfortable, and it trips. You kind of trip out when it starts to get comfortable, and then you look around it. You got the tandems that are going out for their experience for their birthday or something, never done it, and you're scared shitless, and we're sitting there joking around or taking a nap. Fucking for my dad's 60th birthday, I was literally eating a cheeseburger on the way up because the pilot already had one, and so we had to do something with it, and so I was fucking stuffing a cheeseburger down while I'm climbing to altitude. And
I watched the Red Bull weather balloon jump. That was intense.
Dude, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool. Yeah. I mean, you can get really, really tired doing that stuff, and the crazy shit is like the adrenaline dumps afterwards. Like I couldn't imagine the adrenaline dump after something like that. Like
seeing like the curvature of Earth.
Oh yeah, at 13,000 you can already see it.
Yeah,
like I can only imagine what he's seeing up there. Probably fucking hanging out with aliens and shit. Or something.
Like, bro.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Fucking knocking around satellites or something. But it's fun. It's definitely something that. I'm a very small fish in a big pond when it comes to that, dude. Like there's amazing shit out there.
So I mean, from the day one that I knew of you, like it's kind of weird because like I think there's a quite possibility that I might have found my wife through your Instagram page.
I know, it's a trip. I
Yeah,
know, we've
right?
talked about that before. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's crazy because I can't remember if it was, because I know I was following you guys. I know she was as well, but we were also both following. What was it? Gas Monkey. Oh, okay. Right. And I found her on Instagram, and this, that, and the other, and we kind of hit it off from there. But like it was kind of weird. But you had the High Class Low Life brand that was kind of something building up, and at this time when you started, it was kind of like Dixon was kind of getting started. Right. A lot of other things like this were kind of starting to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So the High Class Low Life thing, that was kind of it was a clothing brand that I came up with randomly, going back to the TV show. I just happened to have made myself a single hat, and it said High Class Low Life on it. And I was doing interviews that day. So like I knew basically when it was going to come about, like come on TV, and I was like, fuck, if I don't do something with this, like I don't know if someone else is going to try and take it out from under me. So I better start figuring something out. And so I started printing off t-shirts and just kind of started to develop a brand. And I wanted a brand kind of geared around, what I was and what I kind of felt like I wanted to represent, that I was a hardworking dude that had, I was fortunate that I have a lot of cool shit. Yeah. But when you're looked at on the outside, tattooed and kind of just, a little rough around the edges, you look like a sack of shit. So you look like a lowlife. So I was like, oh, I'm just a high class lowlife, I'm straight hood rich, right? To an extent, you have.
Well, it was like easily identifiable right. for a lot of us.
And that was the thing, is that, it spoke to so many people, and that's what, it's like, fuck, that's what we are. And, we just don't. So I tried to put a label on it. Yeah. And it was growing well, it was growing really well. And
then you had the accident, though. That's kind of that was in the middle of it, right?
Yeah, I had the accident, and it's funny, man, with business and social media these days. Like if you're not right, in the spotlight of it, and you're pushing it, it's easy to fall off. And at the same point, I was kind of starting to get a little burned out from it. I mean, there's some guys that took off in that sense. You talked about Dixon, and if you got something niche, it's really cool. But at the same time, when you do shit like that, it shows other people that it's easily obtainable. Oh fuck, all I got to do is just print out some shirts, and my buddies will start wearing it, and it kind of grows, right? Yeah. And so, for some people, it was easier to just buy, get their own shit made, and have their own saying or whatever. So I got burned out. I was, again, that's when, all in the same time frame, skydiving and everything else kind of started happening, and I just kind of let it go. I was
you kind of have to have bored to start a brand like that. Well, a t-shirt brand like that kind of is more identifiable. You kind of need to start within a genre and grow it, and then start stepping out of it. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's it's definitely a big learning curve. There's a lot to learn. And I felt like I got, a good education on a lot of things with it, and I really started to understand where I wanted to be, and that's with the new venture now, which you've now seen. I now have a sunglass company, myself and my good buddy and partner Ray. We started a sunglass company, basically to give. I've been collecting high-end sunglasses since I was like 14 years old. Like I still have the original pair of sunglasses I bought. It was like $130 in fucking Hawaii when I was 14 years old, And you saw my case out there. That's all the shit I can't wear anymore because it doesn't have my logo on it. But
you bought the fucking case from like Zoomies.
Yeah, exactly.
So put it in there.
Exactly. I got that was kind of my investment on learning what I wanted to do, and knowing that I wanted to build a quality pair of sunglasses that was going to be affordable. And the reality is Ray and I, my partner, were building this company to leave for our kids. And to give to our kids, so that we have something that, they can build from later on in life. I mean, shit, our first 4 our first 4 models are named after our kids. You know,
Yeah, I noticed
the,
that.
The
Yeah.
Rylan, the Taylor, the Nixon, and the Colton are all our kids, and that's just, it's to show them like, hey, this is for you, and but we're trying to bring the highest quality I can possibly find, an affordable price. Like our goal is to not give anybody or sell a pair of sunglasses over $65. You know, I mean, granted, we have one pair that it's a special edition that we did with Taylor Schultz.
Yeah.
You know, that's you know, they're hand pinstriped. Every single one he did himself. And fucking Taylor's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You know, he's helping us out, and you know, for us, you know, he did those on the Rylans, which are right there, and they're you know, our outlook on it, my partner Ray and I, is, you know, that pair of Rylans is $49.99, right? That's what we sell it for, and that's all we're selling it for. You know, that extra money that it's costing at $75 for that pair specifically that's us paying Taylor for his you know, skills and his work.
Actually, I want to buy a set of those.
Fuck yeah. Well,
because I think it'd be dope to have something from Taylor and you.
Right.
And,
right. No,
you know,
thank you, man.
At the beginning of this venture that you have going, I mean, like I said, you kind of set me up with a nice couple of glasses I've been using myself.
Yeah.
But that shit's cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Thank you.
It really is.
Yeah, and Taylor's awesome, man, to work with us, and you know, he knows Ray really well, and I've known him through the industry for a long time, and I mean, fuck, you know, I mean, you guys as painters, I mean, I'm sure you guys have had your, you know, your talks, and I mean, shit, you know, it's...
Well, the way I look at it, you know, to kind of go off a tangent a little bit here, and this is something I've been realizing because a lot of the stops I've made on this trip, I've been talking to guys that are our age, that are in this industry, and they're kind of like starting to carve their niche and their path out. And I'm like, how's that any different than Ness ripping across the country to go hang out with so-and-so in Daytona? Like, you know, I was talking with Tony from Ramjet. I'm like, look, man, like, this is... Me and you are going to be doing this shit in 20 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're going to be old as fuck, hanging out at some random place going... You remember that time? Me and you, we're going to be like, hey, man, you remember that time in your fucking house when you got the Amazon vibe going on when he's in the garage kind of thing?
Yep.
Like, that's going to be dope and rad. And
Absolutely.
that's kind of the, in a sense, like seeing everybody I know kind of building their brands and their vision.
Yeah.
It's awesome to see it, be able to share it on this podcast. And just watch it grow. Like I said, it truly is awesome seeing friends do rad shit.
Fuck,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, I was stoked, you know, I remember being in Texas doing that IMS show, and you talking about, you know, you're just starting your podcast.
Yeah.
And fuck, man, we wanted to do one then, and just, it didn't work out, you know. But, you know, seeing where you're at, and fucking, you know, your painting skills and everything you were doing. I remember when you first broke into the Dyna scene.
Yeah,
you know,
the crackhead shit I had to do.
You were offering some like super low prices to just break in so you can see shit. But man, fucking good on you for doing that to open up another door. And I mean, shit, look at you. You know, it's fucking awesome. I mean,
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's about, you know, what I realize is that I've done a lot of crackhead shit in my life. Slight of sucking dick, right? I've done a lot of crackhead shit.
Yeah.
And I realized, like, man, I really want to be a part of this culture. How do I put my twist on it, or my touch on it?
Yeah.
Plus, get some experience with it. And you know, doing Dyna paint jobs for $1,000 might not, you know, for some people that's probably still a lot of money, and that's fine, but not when I was already painting $8,000 and $7,000 baggers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was just more like hey, I want to have a footprint in this, and this is how you do it. And it's the same thing I try to tell a lot of people is like, you have to sometimes you have to invest, right? And that was my investment into the Dyna FXR culture.
Yeah.
That took a while to get to where it is now, where now it's like, almost like all those bikes I did, I can do that now on one job,
right?
You know, which is awesome, but it took years to build that, you know. And like I said, when we rode out here with all the boys back in 19, you had brought up this whole sunglass company, and it's wild seeing how long it took, whether it was cold feet or or it was just you know, because it's a good idea, right? It's a really good idea, and it's a good name. The branding is dope.
Yeah. Modifeye Vision, by the way.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about it, right?
We haven't even mentioned the name. Like an idiot.
it's a good everything around, but I imagine I'm putting myself in your shoes. I'm imagining like you finally found it, right? This niche.
Yeah.
But you don't want to half-ass it.
Right.
Like, I don't want to just throw this out there and because I got a good idea and I need to make it happen now.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, shit. Yeah. Like you were saying, you know, we were talking about it in 2019, and, you know, I mentioned earlier before we got on here, you know, I was looking at timestamps on my phone when I started looking into shit, and, you know, I started doing this 4 years ago. Like, I started looking into it 4 years ago of, you know,
17.
What am I going to do? How am I going to do it? You know, I took my lumps with the clothing line to understand what I really wanted. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, man, clothing lines are so hard. Like, anybody trying to do it, like, more power to you. I don't want to have nothing to do with it anymore. You know, having to deal with every single size and colorway and this and that, and, you know, dealing with all that inventory. Whereas, you know, with sunglasses, it's pretty cut and dry. You either like the style and they fit, or they don't. You know, and if they don't, I'm sorry. You know, but, you know, we're trying to hit a market to touch everybody. You know, you're looking at the Bellas, which are a brand new one that actually I should be getting hopefully next week, and then we've got another one sitting there that I've lovingly started to nickname the cookies and cream color, because I can't figure out
I dig that color though, dude.
I can't figure out a fucking name for the actual frame itself. And my partner Ray, you know, we've been kind of throwing stuff out there because we ain't got no more kids. So unless we're gonna start naming shit after dogs and everything else, we're running out of stuff. So we're definitely looking at, you know, other options as far as that goes. But you know, Ray and I both, we strive so hard to make sure that we're giving our customer, which we appreciate so much, the highest quality for basically the lowest price. Like, its quality is number one to us over everything. And, you know, but it's definitely a progression, and to, after 4 years, finally see it come out. And, you know, probably not the smartest business idea to, you know, come out in the middle of winter. But, you know, at the same time, it's kind of our soft release, and it's showing people what's out there, and we're able to refine stuff, you know, and we're refining what we have. We're constantly working on more designs. I mean, fuck, I work my, you know, 10-hour-a-day job, and I come home and I fill orders every night. Like, it's just, you know, it's what you do. If you want something to work, you know, you're going to hustle and make it happen. And, you know, I don't sell dope, you know, so this is my legal way to have the side money, and, you know, for Ray and I to have something that we can leave for our kids, to make sure that our kids are stable and taken care of. And, you know, it's a long process, and it's dealing with the smallest, you know, details to, oh, well, my pouch, you know, I got to make sure it's got the right logo on it. Does it need a tag on it? Does it need you know, there's so many things that we're trying to make sure that
it's a weird world, right? Because nowadays people, like, let me say this. I have a hoodie on right now, right? It's all dirty and stained, but I found this hoodie through YouTube.
Yeah. No shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, you know, like hoodies, right? That's my shit. I'm not into flannels anymore. I like hoodies.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, fuck, man, like, what's a good quality hoodie? Like, I don't want to, they got these hoodies out there like 200 or 150 bucks.
Yeah, it's great.
$130. And I'm like, I ain't doing that. I'm definitely not trying that shit out, right? And so I was like, just randomly on YouTube one day, and I was like, best fitting or high quality hoodies. And then like someone's doing a legit review on like all these different brands. So that I was able to find brands that I never heard of.
Yeah.
And bought a couple hoodies, and then I found this brand, which I think is Land's End or something like that. Okay. I'm like, fuck, it's like light. It's like a middleweight hoodie.
Yeah.
Comfortable, really good material. I'm like, fuck yeah, I dig this. I bought like 5 more.
Hell yeah.
You know, and so it's like, I forgot where I was going with that.
I think we were talking about all the quality and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, nowadays people do reviews on everything. There's always like, and it's always like this unboxing review. It's this, what's the packaging like? And so like, I commend you guys for actually taking, you know, the time to look into that, because my dumb ass would have been sending it in a bag.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
yeah, you know, it's definitely something that it's just, you know, having 4 years to work on it, you know, and to think about it. And I've been able to kind of work some things out. You know, it's definitely not to the level of these big brands. You know,
Yeah.
obviously, as you can see it, we're just in a small office here, but you know, there's promise. You know, there's a lot of promise with it, and again, you know, we really believe in it, and you know, my partner Ray is, you know, I mean, shit, he puts down, you know, 70 to 100,000 miles a year sometimes on his bikes. Like, the dude rides more than anybody I know. And, you know, we developed a really good bond and strong bond because shortly before my accident, he actually got in a really bad motorcycle accident.
Mm-hmm.
He got hit by a drunk driver and lost one of his legs. So that's kind of going back to, you know, what, you know, your other podcast with the dude who doesn't have either legs. Like, I can relate to that to an extent because my best friend is, you know, also the, you know, in that situation. And I mean, he didn't let shit get in his way, you know, and he's doing amazing things with it, you know. So it's been rad, man. You know, and having him as a partner, you know, it's definitely, we're able to better ourselves with it. And, you know, and in turn, we're giving everybody a better product.
Yeah.
So,
like I said, the glasses are cool, and it's one of those things that, like, you know, the thing that's dope about everything is, like, where else can you find the opportunity to buy these type of products from people that you actually have a connection with, right?
Yes.
And so, like, doing this podcast and people hearing you and knowing your story and knowing why you have a sunglass company now versus, like, you know, the sponsored ad that pops up on your you know, Facebook post or Instagram or whatever, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, if you think about it, like, our industry is big enough. Just motorcycle, you know what I mean? Like, you've already done the co-branding with Taylor Schultz doing the striped out glasses, and there's lots of other people I've seen in the scene up here that are rocking the glasses on the Instagram page and things like that. So it's just cool to me. I don't know. I just think it's dope. You know what I mean?
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean,
I've just been waiting for 2 years for you to figure it out.
Yeah, it's been a long wait. I mean, everybody's been kind of waiting around, but you know, I mean, shit. Steve from Ness, you know, he's one of my best friends. I was in his wedding, and like, he wanted to have some for his wedding to give to all of us groomsmen. I'm like, sorry, bro. They ain't out yet. Still working on it. And at that point, actually, I think we were actually waiting for our first order, but we just couldn't get them in time. Yeah. You know, but, you know, kind of circling back, I mean, you know, working for Ness and working for Corey specifically, you know, he's such an amazing businessman as far as that goes, that, you know, I got a really good education on how to conduct that side of business, about trying to find manufacturers and ordering and everything else. It's, you know, and again, quality and price and all that stuff. I mean, that family's given me so much over so long, you know. I mean, I've gotten to meet great people. I mean, fuck yourself, man. I mean, you know, I mean, shit, I'm
fucking awesome, dude.
You are awesome, dude. No, I'm just, dude, I'm honestly amazed at how much reach you've gotten with this podcast over the years.
Dude, me too. It's kind of a weird thing. I can't never listen to the ones I put out because you get too you get too critical of yourself. I mean, it must be like the way it was watching the TV show. Like, fuck, why was my hand right there? Like, dude, do something with the hand. You know, tinkle or something.
Oh, Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, but realistically, like, this is the shit that most of us would be doing anyway. If I rode out to NorCal and hung out here, and I came by the house and we was checking out the Impala and hanging out, we would be having the same conversation in the garage.
You're right.
And so the only thing bad about it is that, like, you start like having other conversations with people every once in a while, like, fuck, I should have recorded that. It's like you're always thinking about like the podcast, like, in conversation. So there are times when I've had like dope conversations with people and I'm like, that would have been a great podcast, but at the same time, I don't want to. You have to pay attention to that so that you don't become this like this greedy dude trying to get conversations out of everybody. That's something you can put on the podcast, you know. But I don't know, man. It's a weird one. Who knows if podcasting is gonna stay around or not? I think it's got a couple more year run, but
everything goes in waves, right? I mean, that's just kind of how it goes, you know. But I mean, shit, I think you're doing a great thing. Like, you're exposing a lot of cool shit to a lot of people that may not see it,
Yeah, well, there's so many smaller things in this world that doesn't, just because they don't have a lot of followers on Instagram, or just because they don't play that game, doesn't negate their importance to the motorcycle industry,
right?
Or doesn't negate the fact that they were actually a big part of the motorcycle industry progressing. So finding these individuals across the country, it's not hard. You know what I mean? Like, if you're looking for it, you can find it. They're everywhere.
Right.
But at the same time, there's also relationships that have been being built for years. I mean, I've been in the industry since 2004. You've been in the industry since, hell, if you went to MMI, so you're looking, 2002?
Yeah.
Roughly?
Yeah, exactly.
So how many people are you going to meet over your career in motorcycles that aren't eventually going to find a path that's going to be worth talking about at some point,
Right.
I mean, there, and then plus like the multiple genres of bikes that we've all had to see kind of come and go.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
There's a lot, man. And there's a lot of people that aren't even like nowhere near motorcycles anymore.
Yeah.
We were talking about, what would you say, like Epic Moto earlier? Like, good dude, but the guy fucking does windows now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hey,
nothing to do with motorcycles anymore.
That's the progression, right? I mean, sometimes that's just the way it goes. I mean, fuck, man. And there's so many awesome builders, and I was doing my homework because I don't do a ton of podcasts, but I was definitely listening to a lot of yours, just recently too. And there's a lot of talk of the history of things and how things cycle. And I mean, fuck, even into the 2000s when you and I both got into the industry, on how different the motorcycles are.
Yeah.
But like, and some of the builders that aren't around anymore or are still around, but like you said, they don't have the popularity. I mean, fuck, one of my favorite builders, and one of the guys that I look up to so much, Tom Foster out of SoCal. He's built some of the baddest shit. I think at one time he was working with Jesse James and everything else. Bill Dodge out of Florida. Yeah. He's fucking amazing. And
he's kind of like Bill Dodge is kind of like the he's this super famous guy that doesn't even have to try to be famous anymore.
Yeah,
everybody knows Bill Dodge is.
Yeah.
He does badass shit. I mean, he had that nasty accident a couple months back, and he's bounced back from that. But there's so many dudes like that, man.
Yeah.
And even if you watch some of the old biker build-offs and you see these guys that were like masters.
Yeah.
Why did, what was it, Aaron Green?
Mm-hmm.
Why does he not do this shit anymore?
Right.
That's a story right there.
It is. And
a master,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, then you got, shitheads like Bryan from TPJ.
Fuck that dude.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
God damn. He's listening already. Yeah. He's waiting on this.
That dude is fucking amazing. We've helped each other out on so much shit, and we developed a bond and a good friendship right after he did his
the biker build off.
That biker build off thing
live.
Yeah. And we kind of had a bond because both being filmed trying to fucking do shit and
not to toot that motherfucker's horn or anything like that, but dude, like people kept telling me about him, you know what I mean, and then when I finally
we talked about him a couple times. When
I finally went up to me and my wife went up to his house and we did the podcast, and I was like, fuck dude, like you're kind of cool.
Yeah.
He's like, he draws and shit.
Yeah. Fuck. Dude, he's actually helped me with a few other things too. I mean, we've talked about stuff with the sunglasses, but I'm working on another patent too for a boat product. Like just something. And he's actually one of the guys that's really trying to help me, push that along and do the design for. I mean, the fucking guy is talented, and like he had no experience with CAD design and everything else, and he taught himself. Like, I mean, fuck. There's very few craftsmen out there now in the motorcycle industry that are building frames from scratch anymore. It's so easy to be, I hate to say it like this, and I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody, but the cookie cutter stuff that you can build out of a catalog. And like I said earlier, I mean, most of us are just glorified puzzle builders, man. It
takes a level of experience into bolting shit on to realize why a guy like TPJ or even his good friend Justin, our good friend Justin from Torch, why these guys are so important and why they're their craft is more timeless than some of the things that we do now. Even the performance bagger shit, we're stoked. These bikes work, they ride, but when these dudes are making shit, they're making frames, they're making bikes out of fucking thin air, basically.
Yeah.
Like, it goes through waves where people might find that super attractive and might not appeal, you know, depending on what
Yes.
end of the wave you're on. But at the end of the day, it always comes back to it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those dudes just got to deal with the fact that sometimes they're cool and sometimes they're not.
Yeah, yeah. And Bryan's so humble, you know, especially Bryan. He's such a good dude that it doesn't matter. Like, he just does what.
Well, he talks enough shit to where he can also take it, and that's some important thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to, you know, you have to.
Dude, we had a fun podcast where me, him, and Justin was supposed to be on it. We called it the Fabricator's Ball.
Okay.
And as a play on words to the Player Haters Ball from Chappelle. And the deal was it was going to be those guys because they were all at SEMA, and we were all going to do edibles and get high, right?
Yeah.
And I thought Justin was a smoker, and apparently he's not. So he like hit the weed, and then bam, like 15 minutes in, he just left. He straight walked out of the podcast.
Oh, shit.
It was it ended up being a crazy night in a random hotel room in Vegas. But you know,
like a good story.
it was fun, man.
Yeah.
That dude Magic Mike, you heard of him?
No.
He's another badass fabricator out of like Vegas, and then Sodak Big Joe. He's up in South Dakota.
Okay.
Does a lot of cool shit. It was just it was a good time. It really was, all those guys. But
hell yeah.
Yeah, man, all these that's kind of it, man. Like I feel fortunate because I get to, like I said about like with Ness, having these guys, you know what I mean, these professionals across the country that help shape who he is, right? And these guys are shaping me, man.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
And
absolutely.
And you know, trying to do these podcasts with them exposed to the world who maybe, you know, a lot of listeners may be a little bit more, they need more incentive to check into people, like, or maybe the bikes that certain people build isn't appealing to them versus like the brand names that come on here every once in a while. Well, they see a Thrashing, like, fuck yeah, I love Thrashing, I got their gloves. Right. But then next thing you know, they listen to a podcast with a guy that's this, and everything resonates and it makes more sense. And that's all you're trying to do is try to put real information out there so that people can get a understanding of what is really going on and the differences between everything, and how all these different things still kind of connect a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
It's a weird one.
It is. It's such a fine line, you know, and fuck, man, the progression is shit, you know.
Aren't you glad TBJ doesn't live in California no more?
Oh, God.
Dude, it's like, I feel like property value went up.
You know, like, we were pretty close because, I mean, Lodi is not too far from here. But fuck, man. Like, I can almost smell the weed smoke from here, you know, just, I swear he's got a chimney going on.
Have you ever met Joe Kidd?
Yeah, dude, Joe is fucking awesome, man. I was actually fortunate enough to meet Joe early on before when he had just that gunmetal blue, that gunmetal blue FXR, and we met through a mutual friend, and I sold him some bags, I think, some clamshells or something, and sold him something, and he ended up coming over, and he's a fucking solid dude, man.
Yeah.
You know, he reminds me a lot of a good buddy of mine that passed some years back. Joe, they called him Jobo out of Ventura Jobo, and like what Joe Kidd is to the FXRs is what Jobo was to the T Sports. Like, he was the fucking man when it came to the T Sports, and that was one of the coolest dudes. He humbled me so much. He reached out to me, that guy reached out to me out of nowhere one day on, I think it was when I actually had Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even have Facebook anymore. Social media is like a secondary thing to me. I mean, that's why some of these guys that we're even talking about, I don't even know, because, you know, I mean, again, the popularity grows so fast with social media, but fuck, man, I'm kind of in my own rabbit hole. But anyways, Jobo was the dude who'd done some time, and I was lucky enough that I got a really cool, I got a full page reader's ride in Hot Bike on my O2 T-Sport downstairs.
Yeah.
Way back in the day, and he hit me up, and I still I keep that message, and I look back on it sometimes, and he just reached out to me. Didn't know me from nothing. He was like, "Hey man, I just want to let you know, like, your article was one of the things that got me through prison." He's like, "I read your article every day. I had it up on my wall in my cell." He's like, "When I got out, I knew I was gonna buy a Dyna because of you."
Nice.
And he fucking turned into this dude that was just like the mecca for fucking T-sport shit. Like, you know, the hard to find stuff, like, you know, some of these guys are like Joe is for FXRs. He was the guy for so long for T-sports, and he was up here in NorCal, and we were at there was an event up here, and he was riding back home on the coast, and he never made it. He left one night, never made it back, and you know, sad thing, but you know, it's those cool people that you come across in this industry, you know, that just, you fucking touch somebody and you don't even know it, you know?
Yeah,
it's
that's,
like, you know, so, you know, I'm sure, I mean, fuck, I know you got some stories like that too, especially with guys, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a few, man. You know, in this short time we've done this podcast, like, you know, it definitely been some guys that we know that have come out and fucked with us and then have passed.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I hate to say fortunately after that tragedy, but fortunately for my psyche, I haven't lost anybody that was like super close to me that I knew well enough to. I mean, obviously the people that have passed, I felt for them and their families, but like I didn't know them well enough to know, you know, like how, like I didn't know much more past that surface, basically, you know.
Right.
And but I mean, fuck, dude, like it's a weird thing to sit here and just record these garage conversations, and then you put them out there, and then for people to find you know, something in it that kind of makes them
inspiration, or you know,
and it's weird because, like, you know, most of us are still figuring our shit out, right? But all we're doing is regurgitating the ideas that we're constantly putting through our head at the time of our life. Like, I'm a much different person now than I was when I started the podcast, and that's through conversation.
Sure.
You know, and you know, a lot of people might live in a part of the country or the world where they don't get to sit here and converse about motorcycles. Don't get to be the start of the conversation, and then politics is the end of the conversation,
right? Or
religion, or fucking, like, you know, your thought, like how you feel a man should be in a relationship, or the weirdest shit we talk about in the garage, right? And it's a crazy thing to, you know, just it's kind of weird putting things out there that you don't really know if you fully believe it yet, but you're just saying it,
right? In
a sense that, like, I think I believe that, but I'm gonna say it anyway, and then, you know, nobody's called me out on stupid shit yet that hard, but. That's the thing, is I think that's why some people have resonated with the podcast, because, you know, I'll say what I think, but I also say that I've changed my mind, or I was wrong, or it wasn't, you know, I see it differently now. You illuminated the truth,
right?
So
right. So out of curiosity, just, you know, just listening to some of the more recent podcasts, you know, there's a big thing about. I feel like I'm interviewing you now. Fuck.
That's fine.
You know, the performance bagger thing, like, it's weird to me because I've been around, you know, up here, there's been somewhat of a normalcy of performance bagger.
Yeah.
And, you know, especially with, you know, a lot of the paint jobs and the builds that you've been a part of and been able to do, that you kind of focus and hone in on some of that, you know, true performance bagger, like show style bike. Like, what's, you know, I hate to say it like this, but there's almost like a clique forming in a sense with the performance bagger stuff. I mean,
you know why? You know, since this is like the first clique I've ever got to be a part of, it doesn't feel like a clique. It feels like the reason why we're together and we've all kind of linked up is because we chose to ride and do things together.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so it's like, it's not so much the bike, because a lot of the dudes that are still doing the bikes, they might have showed up to the camp out on something else.
Yeah.
You know, they just found the purpose as to why we do it this way. Right. The same way I found the purpose as to why I wanted to do it this way through my influences in NorCal.
Sure.
And things like that. But the click stuff I don't think it looks like a click 100%.
And it's probably because of social media too. You know what I mean? I mean,
because we all got inside jokes because we do shit together.
Of course.
But the thing is that everything we do is an open invite to anybody who wants to show up.
Right.
So, you know, if people, not everybody wants to get involved, and that's fine. Sometimes it's good to watch it from the periphery, but if you want to be a part of it, then show the fuck up, dude.
Yeah.
Like right now, our camp out's coming out in just about a month, right? And here come the excuses.
Yeah, fuck. I would personally love to make it to one. I mean, obviously, that my life doesn't dictate that, right?
Exactly. Now, but there's people that like have known about it, and that's been something on their radar, and then, like it's where it's at because I don't want it to be easy.
Gotcha.
And when you do shit that's not easy, you tend to be more accepted in the clique.
Right.
Right. There's a reason why FXR owners used to be really fucking awesome dudes, because they knew it took a responsibility or an aptitude to be an FXR owner.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like the thing is, like, all these dudes they're the raddest friends you're ever gonna have, but you still have to earn them, motherfuckers.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like people got to go out and if you're a really rad dude and you smash hard miles with your T-bar or your ape hangers and your stretch bags, cool.
Yeah.
I don't really give a shit. Come show us. Yeah. Come do it with us.
Yeah.
And come crack some jokes back and just like have fun, man.
Right.
And that's kind of what I want people to do. It's like performance, like a lot of the California stuff, in my opinion, it feels more cliquish than what we have, because our stuff isn't one state. It's like the entire South and Midwest and East Coast.
Sure.
There's dudes, there's key guys that are putting in the effort to show up to the down south camp out, the up north camp out, the fast life camp out, the hood ride, the fucking Sturgis thing, the Daytona thing.
Yeah. Which, man, I'm envious, because I live in a fucking bubble up here.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
get
a
out
bubble,
too much.
for sure, man. I get it, man. Like, there's not much reason to leave this great state to go do this shit. But one thing I would say that we have over a lot of people out here, if I will, is that, like, we kind of have a big group of friends. That it's not dictated by colors, by anything else. It's just about commitment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that part's cool, and but fuck, man, like, I don't know. It's just something to do, man.
Yeah.
We couldn't ride to California all for a year.
Right. I mean, shit, yeah. Fuck, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, even the progression with, the dynas. I mean, I remember your first dyna that you did too, and I mean, that thing progressed quite a bit. And
I was sitting up here ordering parts because I was up here working with Steve, and I remember I bought my first set of bar and risers from Allen over there in Livermore.
Yeah,
he has that little shop, Allen Sons.
Yeah.
So I got my.
He works on a lot of my cars.
Yeah. So I bought it from Allen, and that was my first set of bar and risers. And then, Vince at Dirtbag Cycles was a big help in me figuring out, like, I didn't know who Conley's was to get a T-Sport style fairing. He helped me find some other parts, and I mean,
shit on that. I don't know if you've heard about them yet, but Altered Industries, like, if you want a real quality fucking T-Sport fairing, you go fuck with those dudes.
They're good,
bro. They have a true adjustable windshield assembly that, like, it's a full gear system that's patented. It's their own.
Yeah.
Fucking everything's built right here in California. Them motherfuckers are bad.
For real?
Yeah.
Are they based out of here? Or?
Dude, actually, I mean, unfortunately, you were right around the corner from one of the owners of it when you were at Ness. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. But he's been doing stuff, and there's two guys, Dave and Justin, and they make some badass shit. And we were actually just talking today because I picked up a windshield from them. Like, they do recurve windshields, the straight windshields for, like, highest quality repop stuff I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So highly recommended. Altered Industries. Like, check them out. I'll send you the link because you.
I think I follow them already. Okay. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I just man, like, I've been telling everybody I got this FXR that I'm doing now, but once I sell it.
Yeah.
Which I'll probably keep it for a year.
Okay.
Once I finish it, and then I'm going to sell it. And then my goal is to get an OG T-Sport.
Yeah.
Because the T-Sport's one of the bikes that I want that's going to stay in the stable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping they've already been pretty high for that year of a Dyna for a while. But I'm hoping I can find one of those gems out in the Midwest.
You know what? I mean, yeah, they're there. They're still there. I mean, there's a few guys that are scooping them up, a lot like... the FXR scene, but I still love, the earlier...
I like the earlier Dynas the best, yeah.
It's like when I just recently redid mine, one of the best things I ever did was I stiffened up my swing arm itself. Bryan, TBJ Bryan, actually built me a swing arm out of steel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we were talking for a long time, and I wasn't sold on the aluminum swing arm thing, as cool as they look.
Yeah.
He built me a custom one out of steel. That bike has never been more solid since.
For real.
Like, fucking thing is amazing. And I did the sacrilegious thing, and I put the 2118 on it, but I can still smash hard miles and fucking.
That's always been like the weird.
Can rip.
Up here, it's always been like, we've talked shit about stereos on bikes, but everyone up here rocks stereos.
Yeah.
It's like the most hell yeah brother Dyna shit I've ever seen. in all honesty, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, Scotty over at Hard Knocks, like, most of what they did was stereos.
Yeah.
But then again, it's just weird. It's like there's this function, like everybody wants the bike to function the way like everything should.
Yeah.
But there's this like showmanship of things up here, and maybe it's like the hot rod culture or the boat culture where everybody has a boat for the Delta and everything like that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, I've only got one other buddy that rocks a 21, a narrow 21 on a true, what I call a true Dyna, which is, I shouldn't, it's my own ego, but I always say the Dyna died in 05.
Yeah.
I never cared for that 06 and up chassis. It was just too wide, and the wheelbase kind of lengthened out, and it didn't feel right to me.
Yeah.
But we run hard on the 21s on that, and it fucking feels great. I mean, it's hard to beat this new M8 I just got. I just got that new Lowrider S. I mean, fuck, that thing is, you don't have to do a thing to it. It's fucking amazing, and I'm sure you're in the same boat on that bagger too with the M8, and they're so smooth.
They are. They're smooth, and they got the power, and they're still modular, so you can do whatever the fuck you want to do on those new Softails,
Yeah, they are. Yeah, except for the stupid 21s. I don't have a fucking tuner for it yet, so I'm stuck with a stock pipe for a while.
Yeah, there's some weird things on their computer systems are getting pretty wonky, where it's even being hard for brands out, like third party brands, to come in and make tuners for these bikes now.
Absolutely, yeah. I've through one of my buddies that owns a shop out here. I've been hearing a lot about the difficulties with getting those new tuners developed and everything. And I mean, hey, the reality is even in the custom side of things, Harley's been doing so much to create such a good bike now that you don't need to put custom shit on it. Yeah. I mean, fuck, these new, a Road Glide Special now, fully powder coated, painted inner fairings, painted lowers, I know it's kind of a love or hate with that new the tubeless spoke rim. I fucking love that thing. Yeah. But I mean, Harley's coming up with some really cool shit to where you really don't have to do much.
The hubless spoke wheel is kind of something that's been kind of growing in the European market.
Absolutely.
And it was already something they had been on the BMWs and things like that.
Stuff, yeah. I think we were talking years ago in Texas about the BMWs and the adventure bikes.
So that year, when you were at Texas that time, me and the boys were sitting on the adventure bikes, because I had my bagger, but I was really going hard on the adventure bikes. I thought I wanted to jump onto it. Yeah. So when my bagger sold that I had at that show, I literally went to go test ride a BMW, but I felt like I ended up landing back on a Road Glide because of my business being so intertwined in Harley Davidson. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, it'd be a great second bike. Right? Yeah. It's but fuck. Yeah, I mean, I think we were there. I actually remember the conversation. I told you I went and sat on one of those GSAs, those BMW GSAs, and it's literally the most comfortable motorcycle I've ever sat on. I mean, granted, genetically I'm a little fucked on the height side, so it's not exactly the perfect bike for me. That's why I'm on a Lowrider S.
That kind of it does throw me off. Like a tall bike like that does kind of like having a passenger. Yeah, I'm like fucking scrambling to fucking have foot on the ground. Those bikes are tall, man. Shit, and they're heavy.
Yeah. I mean, top heavy. I love the KTM Super Adventure, and I know that's one of TPJ Bryan. Like, he swears by his KTM, and I actually have that dual sport down there, that KTM that we're gonna go rip as soon as the snow kind of leaves, and we're gonna go do a good trip. But yeah, man. I mean, there's so much out there as far as motorcycles.
What made you want to get the new Lowrider S?
So my business partner and good friend Ray, he's got one. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we've already talked. He smashes a shit ton of miles in a given year. I mean, it's fucking crazy the amount of miles he's putting on. And I envy him for it. I'm jealous. But he bought one. Mm-hmm. And just he's not had a single problem with it. And he swore by it. And he's actually... he's a diehard Dyna guy. He's had multiple T-Sports. Can't stand FXRs.
For real?
Yeah, he's like, doesn't, you know, he's owned a few, never ridden them, just fucking sold them off. Can't stand FXRs. And with the amount of miles he puts on, and he told me, he's like, that's the best bike I've ever had. It's the best bike I've ever ridden, best bike I've ever had. And we're not reinventing the wheel here. Yeah. We've got T-Sport fairings on them. You know what I mean? Yeah. We've got the same shit. It's just a new platform. And when he told me that, and I went out and rode it, and I was sold right when I rode it. Yeah. I'm like, wait a minute, this is the first motorcycle that actually can sit flat-footed on, and I can still ride the fucker, ride it how I ride. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm sold, you know. So I ended up picking one up. I really wanted the silver, that Barracuda silver. Yeah. But I was just a day late and $1 short, and, you know, they were already sold out by the time I started shopping, and too hard to get. And, you know, being in California, I can't get an out-of-state bike. Yeah. So I ended up getting a new one, you know, a brand new one, which if I would have done my homework a little bit more instead of doing it kind of on a whim, knowing the software issues, I probably would have just found a 20 instead of a 21. But I fucking love it. I mean, it's been such an awesome bike.
I still struggle because there's a part of me that wants one, but there's also the part of me that, like, I don't need another bike payment, if you will. Right. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I need a car payment, right? I need a real reliable car. I need to do some adult shit for once. Yeah. But no, it's all good, man. So what, I mean, do you have more plans? I mean, you got initial stock here of the glasses. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And, you know, you guys just kind of launched the Instagram, all that stuff more. It hadn't been that long.
No, man. So we started the company. We actually launched the company officially January 15th. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, shit, we're now just after St. Patrick's Day. So, I mean, fuck, we're 2 months in. You know? Realistically, we're 2 full months in. And, I mean, what the future has to hold, man, I mean, for us, sky's the limit. Yeah. You know, it's, you know, we talked about it a little bit earlier. I've got an amazing job. You know, it's basically a government job, you know, but, you know, the hope is one day that I'm so busy that, you know, I have to make that trade-off. And fortunately, my wife has got a great job, so I'll still have the benefits that have always tied me to a stable job. You know, and if there's one day where I could jump on this full time, and just, if I'm too busy to, you know, to do it on the side, and we got to do it full time. I mean, it's definitely giving people the best quality possible. You know, and seeing where it takes us, man. I mean, I really think that we got a good thing going, and we haven't gotten one bad bit of feedback on anything. I mean, the lenses are super clear. I mean, 90% of our inventory is polarized lenses. And the clarity is awesome. The build is, you know, I'll put the actual construction of the frames up against stuff that's 2 and 3 times my price point. Yeah. You know, and I stand by that, you know, and if anybody's not happy with it, like, by all means, we'll make it right. Yeah. You know, so, but it's, you know, I definitely want to see it grow and see where it goes. I mean, these kids, they need new clothes for next year, so somebody's got to buy. I want
the cookies and cream, but like in a Ryland or something.
Yeah. Hey, you never know, man. It could happen. I mean,
because that's got that gloss that I like. I like the gloss glasses.
It does, yeah. So, I mean, fuck, man. You know, learning the different materials that are out there, and the different stuff. You know, the different lens materials and this and that, and there's so many possibilities. It's kind of endless, you know, to a sense. I mean, there's only so much you can do with a sunglass, but at the same time, it's almost limitless in other aspects.
Well, the good thing is at the price point, then it gets to be like, cause me, like I at one point in my life, I just became a guy that wore sunglasses, right? Yeah. To the point where like it's a cloudy day and I wear sunglasses still.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And we have lenses for that.
Yeah.
Like we literally have lenses. That sapphire lens we have, like it brightens everything up on a cloudy day. Like it's fucking amazing. And
like I said, at your price point with a lot of things, it just kind of it makes it to where, one pair of sunglasses or 4 pair, it really just it's not like it's kind of like, it's honestly like 4 pair. Like you you got some now you got some Ray-Bans or some shit, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, you could have 4 different styles, 4 different models of mine for what you would pay for one of those higher end companies. And again, I think when you put them on and feel them, like I've had numerous messages where it's like, hey man, like I own all these other pairs, but I'd rather grab yours, and they feel that good. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I mean, hey, I didn't fucking make them, but we've got the right suppliers and the right manufacturers that are doing the right stuff.
Yeah.
And, it's just staying true to what we believe in, just making sure that we're giving people the best quality product at the best price and remembering what it's for. It ain't for us, it's for our kids, And so, just something for us to all fall back on.
That's cool. Yeah. So, like I said, you're a biker, and I think it's always cool to support biker-owned companies.
Yeah. And that's very big to my partner Ray and I, is to make sure that we're doing something for us that we could stick in a helmet. Mm-hmm. I boat. I surf all the time in the summer. Like, I want something that is going to be purposeful for every single situation, or have something for every situation. And at our price point, you could buy the one that you're going to stuff in your helmet, and you can buy the ones for the boat, and you can buy the ones to go out with your chick on, on a Sunday afternoon, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
So, it's all there, man. I hope everybody kind of sees it, and, we do offer a lot of promos to kind of entice people in right now, especially in our adolescence. We're trying to show people what we got. So,
that's cool.
And thank you, man, for the support with it.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like I said, I wanted to, you sent me a couple pair before I came on this trip, and I've been running the whole time. And unfortunately, I'm not as pretty as I feel like I used to be, so I don't feel like I'm getting good shots of myself wearing them. Versus like, maybe when I get home, I'll shoot my wife in them, and it'd be a better advertiser. I might scare your customers away.
Hey, but you know what? It's for everybody, man. Yeah. Like we want to make sure that everybody knows that it's. I just
make a carousel of photos, and I'll be in the middle.
Perfect.
There you go.
Perfect. Yeah, just that B-roll shot.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, Jace wears them too. Yeah, I got to go home and start working out or some shit, dude. I feel like, it's getting. Texas is open, so now I don't have to wear a mask to go work out. So
there you go.
I'm gonna go home and maybe go to the gym. Maybe.
The 12-ounce curls work too.
Yeah, they get. I need to drink a beer before I go to the gym so I can loosen up.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. Shit.
Or take a shot.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, fucking. Yeah, it's definitely a crazy one right there.
Well, all right, man. Well, like I said, we did a pretty good job here. So, what do you think? Where's a good place for them to go check out? What's the website for the glasses and things?
So right now, everything's being funneled through our Instagram at Modifeye. It's MODIFEYE _ Vision. Mm-hmm. And so everything's funneled through there right now. We're gonna hyperlink to our actual website soon.
They can still order through that.
You can absolutely order right through that hyperlink. Mm-hmm. So there's a link in our bio on our Instagram page to go ahead and order. And I pride myself on shipping orders out same day. Nice. So if I get them late or if I'm coming home late from work, they're actually in the mail the very next day. Mm-hmm. So every order I get is packaged that night. And my wife hates it because she's the one dropping them all off, but we are packaging everything same day, and customer service is number one, man. So if anybody ever has any problems, let us know. But I know everybody's gonna be happy with our stuff.
Nice. And so is the website going to be the same name, or have you scored?
Yeah, the website is secured. It's also going to be Modifeye Vision.
Just one
So
word.
modifyevision.com.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when this comes out, I think you might have that worked out, because this will be about like 4 weeks.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, because we got so much to release.
Yeah, fuck, dude. Yeah, you've been on a roll, man, this whole trip.
I think at the end of this trip, we'll have about maybe, originally it was going to be 20, but yesterday fucked us, right? So
Right.
with the rain, I couldn't do those podcasts, so I had to basically reschedule those. So we missed about 3 yesterday, and so I think at the end of this will be about 15 to 16 podcasts.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
It's still good time. Yeah, it's still good content,
that's
though.
That's awesome. And then, so what's the next trip? Well, you got your camp out, right?
Camp out's next, and that's going to be a big one in April 22nd through the 25th.
Okay.
And then me and the boys that you met last time, we got our big trip we're doing in June. We're going to Maine.
Nice.
And back. So loop there and back, and then Sturgis. Sturgis is every year the deal for me and some of us. So
I'm envious of the trips. Yeah.
Man, they're fun as shit, but man, they it costs when you're self-employed, it costs a lot to go on a trip.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And like the trip with the boys, it's really hard to do podcasts on that trip, so it really just is a true vacation, if you will.
Sure.
As opposed to this right here, 2 weeks on the road. It's literally like just getting the next spots and try to get recording something, getting on the trying to do the best you can too, because you don't want to like I always tell people, like, if there's ever a bad podcast, it's not their fault, it's mine.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's my fault for not preparing enough to have the questions to lead the conversation and things like that. So
fuck, man, you do have a talent for it. I mean, for sure. Like,
it's a skill that's being worked.
It's a rare thing that I could sit down with anybody for 2 hours and fucking talk nonstop. So
yeah, it happens, man. Especially with me. Well, cool. Thank you, Bryan. I appreciate everything.
Thank you, bro.
Thanks,
Thanks,
cool.
Jace.
Peace. Hope you guys enjoyed that podcast. I had a great time talking with Bryan, and looking forward to having him back on at some point. Really wanted to spend more time in NorCal and talk to more people. The weather when I was on this California trip was just a shit show in the NorCal area. A lot of rain, got stuck in a couple areas, and just kind of was over it, to be completely honest with you. But I want to thank Bryan. I want to thank Ness. I want to thank my boy Steve up there, the trendsetters, for just being accommodating and making my NorCal stay a good time. I also had the best steak of my life at Texas Roadhouse. My mouth just started watering. I was thinking about it. But yeah, we're going to be back next week. We got Lucky Strike Designs, and we got quite a few podcasts in the hole. Also, we got some live podcasts possibly tomorrow, Friday, if you want to check out our YouTube. And as always, if you want to support this podcast and get unreleased content, you can check out our Patreon. There's a link on our website, fastlifegarage.com, or you can go to patreon.com/fastlifegarage. And on that, we do podcasts and different forms of podcasts that are only there. And, $1 a month gets that shit. So, and it helps us do more shit with the podcast. So it's a win-win. You know what I mean? Like, you pay X amount of dollars for Netflix, you get TV shows. You don't pay, you don't get them. So, that's the way the world's going. So check it out. Support this podcast. Help us grow it. Help us keep it going. And check out our sponsors. Those guys rock too. So thank you guys. We'll see you back next week. Have a good weekend.